The city was still waking when Maya Cross stepped out of the black sedan and looked up at the government building in front of her. From the outside, it looked unremarkable. Another stone structure among dozens that lined the streets of the capital. Formal, symmetrical, and deliberately forgettable. But Maya knew better. Buildings like this didn't advertise their importance. The people who worked inside them preferred it that way. She adjusted the strap of the leather satchel on her shoulder and walked toward the entrance. Behind her, the sedan pulled away without a sound. Inside, the lobby was quiet and almost sterile. Two security officers sat behind a desk that looked more ceremonial than functional, though Maya suspected the real security systems were buried in the walls and ceilings. One of the officers glanced up as she approached. Name: Maya Cross. The officer tapped something into a terminal, paused briefly, then looked up again. You're expected. That didn't surprise her. What did surprise her was the email. 24 hours earlier, Maya had been working from her firm's office in New York when a message appeared in her encrypted inbox. The sender's address had been masked. The encryption, however, had not. Whoever sent the message had used a key that only Maya and a handful of federal intelligence contacts possessed. The message itself was short. One line: "We need you to review something." Quietly. Attached was a packet of procurement data and a temporary security clearance pass. Most consultants would have ignored the request. Maya did not, because if someone inside a federal agency went to the trouble of using her private encryption key, it meant two things. First, they trusted her. Second, they didn't trust their own system. Neither possibility was comforting. 10 minutes later, Maya sat in a small interior conference room on the building's third floor. No windows, neutral walls, a long wooden table that looked as if it had been chosen specifically to discourage conversation. Across the table sat Samantha Carter. Sam had arrived 20 minutes earlier and already had a tablet open, several digital files displayed across the screen. "You look like you slept," Sam said casually. Maya set her bag down and took the chair opposite her. "I did." Sam tilted her head slightly. "That makes one of us." "You chose to stay up analyzing the files," Maya said. "That was curiosity, not insomnia." Maya opened the secure laptop waiting on the table. "Those two conditions are often related." Sam smiled faintly. It was the kind of quiet exchange that had developed between them over years of working together. To outsiders, the two women often appeared intimidating, calm, analytical, and almost unnervingly composed in high-pressure situations. But behind closed doors, their partnership had developed a rhythm built on dry humor and mutual respect. Sam rotated the tablet so Maya could see it. "Tell me something," she said. "Why are we here?" Maya studied the files for a moment before answering. "Technically, yes, because someone inside this agency wants an outside analysis." Sam leaned back. "And realistically?" Maya met her gaze. "Because they're not sure who inside their own system they can trust." Sam let out a quiet breath. "Well," she said, "that's comforting." The procurement documents looked harmless at first glance. Routine government contracts, infrastructure upgrades, small subcontractors. The kind of paperwork that moved through federal systems by the thousands every week, which was precisely why it caught Maya's attention. "Look here," she said. She rotated the laptop so Sam could see. 3 contract numbers were highlighted. Sam frowned slightly. These were approved within days of each other. Maya nodded. That's the first oddity. Sam leaned forward. And the second? These contracts originate from 3 separate agencies. Sam looked again. Defense, energy, transportation. Maya nodded again. 3 different oversight structures. Sam tapped the tablet screen. But the approval timestamps... She paused. That's not possible. Maya stood and walked to the whiteboard mounted on the wall. She wrote the contract numbers in neat columns. Federal procurement systems don't process approvals simultaneously across separate agencies, she said. Too many bureaucratic layers. Sam crossed her arms. So someone bypassed the system. Or synchronized it. Sam considered that. That would require access at a very high level. Yes. Or at several mid-level points. Also, yes. Sam stared at the whiteboard. So the question becomes... Maya finished the sentence. Why? Maya turned back to the laptop. Let's look at where the money actually went. Sam watched as the screen filled with maps and financial routing diagrams. Small subcontractors, Sam said again. Yes. Scattered across the country. Yes. Sam pointed to a location. Ohio. Another. Arizona. Another. Virginia. Maya zoomed out. Red markers appeared across the United States. Sam tilted her head. That distribution pattern looks intentional. It is. Sam studied the screen more closely. These companies aren't building weapons systems. No, not research facilities either. No. Sam looked at Maya. So what are they building? Maya didn't answer immediately. Instead, she opened another layer of the file system. The map shifted. Lines appeared connecting several of the red locations. Sam leaned closer. Her expression changed. Oh, Maya nodded. Exactly. Sam stood and moved closer to the laptop, her attention narrowing as Maya brought up a second layer of routing data. The red points on the map were no longer isolated. They formed a loose web, uneven at first glance, but deliberate once you looked long enough. A cluster in northern Virginia, another outside Columbus, a smaller grouping in Arizona. Then a line stretching through Maryland, down toward North Carolina, and west again through Tennessee. Sam folded her arms. That is not random. No, Maya said quietly. It isn't. She clicked again. A side panel opened, listing the names of the subcontractors tied to each site. Most of them sounded ordinary. Regional infrastructure firms, utility consultants, communications maintenance vendors, the kind of companies no one outside a procurement department would ever notice. Sam shook her head. I hate this already. Maya glanced at her. Because it's complex? Sam gave her a dry look. No, because it's elegant. That earned the faintest shift in Maya's expression. She knew what Sam meant. The most dangerous operations were rarely the loud ones. They were the quiet ones designed to disappear beneath the weight of ordinary systems. Look at the funding split, Maya said. Sam returned her attention to the screen. The money had been divided across unrelated budget lines: emergency modernization, critical resilience, communication support, regional continuity planning. Each one small enough not to trigger deeper oversight on its own. But together, the totals formed something substantial. This had to take months, Sam said, longer. And whoever designed it understood not just technology, but bureaucracy. Maya nodded. Which narrows the field? Sam looked at her. Or widens it? Maya turned from the laptop and wrote 4 words on the whiteboard. Access, patience, reach, cover. Sam read them in silence. Not a rogue contractor, she said. No. Not a random political appointee. No. Sam exhaled slowly. Someone who knows how institutions move, and how they fail to notice what passes beneath them, Maya said. For a moment the room fell quiet again, the kind of silence that comes when both people are thinking several steps ahead. Sam was the first to break it. So what's the actual function? Maya looked back at the map. That's what's bothering me. She expanded a series of engineering attachments buried deep in the packet, power distribution diagrams, backup relay architecture, signal routing schematics. The files had been mislabeled as resilience infrastructure upgrades, but that description no longer held up. These aren't just communications nodes, Maya said. They draw too much backup power for that. Sam leaned closer. And they're hardened. Yes. As if they're supposed to remain active during a major disruption. Yes. Sam straightened. So either this is a continuity network or a control network. Sam stared at her. There it was again. That line Maya crossed sometimes, when a theory stopped being interesting and became dangerous. Control over what? Sam asked. Maya clicked through another sequence, following a chain of metadata that should not have been there. A contractor memo, a maintenance flag, then a buried reference code. Her eyes narrowed. That code shouldn't be attached to civilian procurement. Sam waited. Maya brought up a cross-reference table from memory and entered part of the string. The result populated instantly. Sam read it first. Domestic emergency relay architecture. She looked up. Maya? Maya didn't answer right away. She was already moving, walking to the board and rewriting the map structure by hand in a simpler formation. When she spoke, her tone was flatter now, more focused. If these sites are connected to emergency relay architecture, then this network isn't merely passing information. Sam watched her. It's positioned to redirect it, or delay it, or prioritize certain channels over others. Maya underlined one of the locations, and if it can do that, then it can influence who gets information first in a crisis. Sam's face hardened. Military, civilian emergency systems, federal continuity communications, transportation, energy stabilization. Any one of them would be significant. All of them together were something else entirely. This is bigger than procurement fraud, Sam said. Yes. This is pre-positioning. Maya capped the marker and set it down. Yes. Sam looked back at the screen. Who builds something like this inside the government without formal authorization? Maya's gaze remained fixed on the map. Someone who expects to need it. The words hung in the room longer than either of them liked. A knock at the door broke the silence. Both women turned. The door opened halfway, and a man in his late 50s stepped in wearing a dark suit, government badge clipped discreetly at his belt. He carried himself with the kind of caution that suggested long experience in rooms where every word mattered. Miss Cross, Miss Carter. He stepped inside and shut the door behind him. My name is Daniel Mercer. Maya studied him. She had seen his name once in a federal oversight memo 3 years earlier, attached to a counterintelligence review that had quietly vanished before formal publication. Not a visible man, which usually meant an important one. You sent the packet, Maya said. Mercer nodded. I authorized it. Sam looked between them. That's not the same thing. A flicker of dry acknowledgement crossed Mercer's face. No, it isn't. He looked at the board. You've moved faster than expected. That depends, Maya said. Expected by whom? Mercer's expression closed by half a degree. A small group of us became concerned when contract reviews started failing to reconcile. Internal audit, Sam asked. Mercer shook his head. Not exactly. Internal audit signed off on everything. Then how did you find it? Maya asked. Mercer hesitated, and in that hesitation, Maya found her answer. You found it by accident, she said. Mercer met her eyes. Yes. How? He exhaled once, as if conceding something he had hoped to avoid. A lower-tier systems analyst flagged overlapping signal access requests attached to unrelated maintenance schedules. It looked procedural. He forwarded it to a supervisor. The supervisor buried it. Sam's jaw tightened. And you got it anyway. Mercer gave a small nod. The analyst sent a copy outside his chain. To you. Yes. Where is he now? Maya asked. Mercer didn't answer immediately. He's on administrative leave. Sam's expression sharpened. For finding this? For mishandling classified routing data, Mercer said. Maya's voice turned colder, meaning someone moved quickly. Mercer didn't dispute it. That's why you're here. Maya let the silence do some of the work for her. Mercer eventually continued. We don't know the scope yet. We don't know who signed what knowingly and who was merely used. We don't know whether the network is complete. But you know enough to be worried, Sam said. Yes. Maya glanced once more at the map. You also know this has political implications. Mercer's face remained neutral. In this city, everything has political implications. That isn't what I asked. His eyes shifted to hers again. No, he said. It isn't. A beat passed. Then he said, There's a reception tonight at the National Gallery. Several people connected to appropriations, infrastructure, and security modernization will be there. Sam raised an eyebrow. You're inviting us to a gala? I'm telling you where conversations happen when people don't want them on official calendars. Maya was already thinking ahead. Not because she enjoyed rooms like that, she didn't. But because networks built quietly were often protected quietly too, and Washington's most dangerous language was often spoken over crystal glasses and practiced smiles. We'll attend, Maya said. Mercer gave one short nod. Then, before leaving, he looked once at the board again. If you uncover something operational, he said, I need to know immediately. Maya's response came without softness. If we uncover something operational, you'll know after I decide who should. Mercer held her gaze a moment longer, then left. When the door shut behind him, Sam let out a slow breath. I like him slightly less than I did 3 minutes ago. Maya sat back down. That means your instincts are functioning. Sam returned to her chair. You trust him? No. You think he's involved? I think he's selective. Sam considered that, which in Washington may be the same thing. Maya didn't disagree. She reopened the files and began sorting flagged attachments into categories: infrastructure, signal priority, redundancy layers, fallback command paths. Then she stopped on one small notation buried in a site maintenance addendum from Virginia. Sam noticed the pause. What? Maya zoomed in. A line item no longer than a sentence. Failover access confirmed pending external authorization. Sam read it twice. External to what? That, Maya said, is a very good question. And external authorization from whom? Maya looked at the code string beneath it. It had been partially scrubbed, but not well enough. She copied the visible fragment into a private note. We're not ready to answer that yet. Sam stared at the screen. But we're close. Maya shut the laptop halfway. Close enough to make tonight useful. By evening, Washington had transformed into itself again. The city's morning face, official, efficient, guarded, gave way to something more polished after dark. Town cars lined the streets, gallery lights warmed stone facades, conversations that would never survive daylight moved easily through receptions and dinner rooms. Maya stood in the hotel suite she had been assigned and adjusted the cuff of a black dress that managed to be elegant without inviting attention. Sam emerged from the adjoining room, fastening an earring. Well, Sam said, looking Maya over, you somehow still look like you're going to interrogate the art. Maya glanced up. That depends on the art. Sam laughed softly. This was one of the things people rarely understood about them. Serious women, especially competent ones, were often flattened by other people's assumptions. Maya and Sam were frequently perceived as all precision, all work, all edge, and at work that image was useful, but it wasn't complete. Sam crossed the room and set her clutch on the table. For the record, she said, I still think this qualifies as work. It is work. Then I want formal acknowledgement that I am being required to socialize under professional duress. Maya looked at her. You brought a date. That was strategic. Maya allowed the smallest trace of amusement. Sam smiled. There it is. I knew you were still human. Maya turned back toward the mirror. Unconfirmed. Sam shook her head, then moved to the window and looked out at the city. For a moment the room grew quiet. Then she said more softly, How are you really doing? Maya's eyes lifted from her reflection. It was an ordinary question, but Sam rarely asked anything casually when they were alone like this. Why? Because you've been more still than usual since this morning. Maya considered the question before answering. When structures change quietly, it's rarely the change itself that worries me. Sam leaned one shoulder against the glass. It's what the change anticipates. Yes. Sam nodded once. She understood. That was part of why their partnership worked. She didn't need Maya to explain every layer, and Maya didn't need Sam to pretend not to see them. After a moment, Sam said, Marcus is meeting us there. Maya turned. You like him? It wasn't phrased as a question. Sam smiled, though not defensively. I do. That's rare. Yes. Sam crossed back toward the table and picked up her phone. He's normal enough to be comforting, smart enough not to bore me, and politically connected enough to overhear useful things. Maya tilted her head slightly. So this is either promising or deeply strategic. Sam grinned. Both can be true. There was a beat, then Sam added, You should try this sometime. Maya looked at her flatly. Attending receptions with politically literate men for intelligence value. No, liking someone. The comment landed more gently than teasing, and for the briefest second Maya's expression shifted. Not enough to expose much, but enough for Sam to know the point had reached her. Maya picked up her evening wrap. I'll put that under future consideration. That's progress, Sam said. They left a few minutes later. The National Gallery reception was exactly what Mercer had promised, and exactly what Maya disliked. Refined enough to appear harmless, crowded enough to conceal intention. Music drifted softly through the rooms. Diplomats, donors, senior staffers, consultants, and Foundation board members moved through the gallery in carefully tailored clothing, balancing light conversation with the quiet transactional awareness that defined Washington's social elite. Maya entered with Sam and immediately began noting the room structure. Who clustered where? Who watched without participating? Who looked overly relaxed in a space full of ambitious people? Marcus found them near the entrance to the central hall. He was in his late 30s, composed but warm in a way that made him instantly readable as someone who had learned how to move through political rooms without becoming consumed by them. He greeted Sam first with an ease that did not feel performative, then turned to Maya. "Maya Cross," he said. "I've heard just enough about you to know I should be careful what I say." Maya shook his hand. "That depends on what you were planning to say." Marcus laughed. "See, Sam never exaggerates." Sam accepted a glass from a passing server and handed one to Maya. "She thinks that was charming," Sam said. "It was efficient," Maya replied. Marcus smiled. "I like efficient people. They tend to survive Washington." As they moved deeper into the reception, the three of them settled into a rhythm that for a little while almost felt ordinary. Marcus spoke easily, but not emptily. He had stories about campaign dinners, donor mishaps, and one deeply unfortunate press event involving a transportation secretary, 3 microphones, and a malfunctioning teleprompter. Sam laughed more openly than she did in professional settings. Maya listened, occasionally adding a dry observation sharp enough to land, but restrained enough not to draw attention. At one point, Marcus glanced at her and said, "You know, Sam made you sound intimidating." "She was trying to be kind," Maya said. "Sam nearly choked on her drink." Marcus laughed. "There it is again. That thing you do." "What thing?" "Say something with a completely neutral face that would sound dangerous from anyone else." Maya's expression remained unchanged. "That sounds subjective." "Exactly. For a moment, standing under warm gallery light with low music in the background, and Sam arguing half seriously with Marcus about whether anyone in politics ever truly answered direct questions, Maya felt the distance between her work and the rest of life in a way she usually avoided. Not regret, not longing exactly, just awareness. There were other ways to live, other rhythms, other evenings. Then instinct moved through her before thought did. She looked up. Across the room, near a modern sculpture installation, Adrian Vale stood in quiet conversation with a silver-haired donor Maya did not recognize. He was not looking at her, which meant he had already seen her. Maya's posture changed by less than an inch, but Sam caught it immediately. "What is it?" Maya's gaze remained steady. 3 o'clock. Dark suit. Grey tie. Sam followed the line of sight. "Oh," she murmured. Marcus looked between them. "Friend of yours?" "No," Sam said. "Not exactly," Maya added. Adrian ended his conversation a moment later and began moving through the room with unhurried confidence. He navigated these spaces the way certain men navigated risk itself, with enough charm to lower defenses and enough distance to remain unreadable. When he reached them, he inclined his head slightly. "Maya Cross. Mr. Vale." His gaze shifted to Sam, then Marcus. Samantha Carter, we've crossed paths by reputation. Sam shook his hand once. That sounds dangerous. Only in selective circles, Adrian said. Then to Marcus. Marcus Ellery, unless I'm mistaken. Marcus smiled politely. Then you're well informed. I make a habit of it. That answer could have been light in someone else's mouth. In Adrian's, it sounded merely factual. There was a pause, elegant on the surface and loaded underneath. Adrian looked back to Maya. Washington seems determined to become more interesting every year. It usually does when people are hiding something, Maya said. One corner of Adrian's mouth shifted. You always did prefer the direct route. I prefer efficient ones. Of course. Sam watched the exchange with the alert stillness of someone observing a conversation that was operating on several levels at once. Marcus, to his credit, seemed to realize the same. Adrian glanced briefly at the sculpture beside them. Are you enjoying the evening? Maya answered without warmth but without hostility. I'm observing it. That sounds more accurate. Another beat. Then Adrian said, quieter now, be careful who appears helpful this week. Sam's eyes sharpened. Maya's expression did not change. Advice? An observation? Based on? Adrian held her gaze for 1 second longer than politeness required. Pattern recognition. Then he stepped back. It was good to see you again. And just like that, he was gone, absorbed into the crowd before the moment could draw notice. Marcus let out a low breath. Well, he said, that man has the energy of someone who knows where all the exits are. Sam looked at Maya. You've met him before? Yes. And Maya took a slow sip from her glass. He notices things early. Marcus glanced toward the crowd Adrian had disappeared into. That can be useful. Maya's tone remained level. It can also be expensive. Sam's phone buzzed. She looked down, frowned slightly, then slipped it back into her bag. What? Nothing yet, Sam said. Just a message from one of my contacts. He's heard there's chatter around a modernization hearing next week. Closed prep meetings, last-minute attendance changes. Maya turned that over mentally. Procurement irregularities, emergency relay architecture, a gala full of appropriations figures, and now hearing changes. Not proof, but movement. Who changed? Maya asked. Sam checked again. He doesn't know yet. Marcus looked between them and, with admirable tact, said, I'm going to acquire another drink and pretend this has remained a normal evening. Sam smiled. You're learning. After he stepped away, Sam lowered her voice. So, Adrian Vale. Maya looked at the sculpture in front of them rather than at Sam. He was at the security conference a few months ago, and then again he shows up during the Whitaker thing. I remember. He doesn't reappear by accident. Sam nodded. And the warning? Maya thought about Mercer. Selective, guarded, useful perhaps, but not fully clean. Or at minimum, not fully transparent. It aligns with my current concerns, Maya said. Sam's gaze moved across the room. You think Mercer is playing us? I think Mercer gave us enough to find something. And not enough to understand why he wanted it found. That, Maya thought, was closer. Before she could answer, a burst of applause rose from a nearby room where a donor recognition speech was apparently beginning. The crowd shifted. Conversations broke and reformed. Maya caught sight of two men she recognized from defense appropriations photographs, speaking in low tones with a woman from an infrastructure advisory board. None of them looked toward the speech. All of them looked tense. Interesting, very interesting. Stay another 20 minutes, Maya said. Sam's eyebrows lifted. You found something? Not yet. But you expect to? Maya's gaze followed the trio across the room. Yes. 27 minutes later, Maya and Sam were back in the car, heading toward the secure office. Marcus had said goodnight to Sam at the gallery entrance with the kind of understated warmth that suggested this was not a one-time arrangement. Sam had watched him go for half a second longer than she probably intended. Now, sitting beside Maya in the dim light of the back seat, she looked down at her phone again. My contact came through. Maya turned slightly. Names? Sam read from the screen. 2 oversight staffers added to the hearing prep list this afternoon. 1 deputy from Energy, 1 communications continuity advisor. Maya's eyes sharpened. Continuity. Yes. And, Sam scrolled, 1 outside consultant flagged as a temporary attendee. Who? Sam looked up. She didn't have to say anything. Maya already knew from her face that it mattered. Adrian Vale. Maya leaned back slowly. Outside the window, Washington moved past in polished fragments of light and shadow. That was not chance, which meant the evening had been less social than it appeared, and Adrian's warning had been timed, not casual, timed. Back to the office, Maya said. Sam gave a short nod. We weren't going to sleep anyway. The secure office felt colder after midnight, or perhaps just more honest. Gala music and polite conversation had no place here, only the hum of equipment, the low light of the laptop screen, and the growing shape of something neither woman liked. Maya set her wrap across the back of the chair and sat down without ceremony. Sam moved immediately to the whiteboard, uncapping a marker before she was fully in position. Start with continuity, Maya said. Sam wrote it at the top. Now add appropriations, then energy, then relay architecture, then outside consultant access. Sam stepped back. The board now held 2 separate structures, one financial, one political. Maya stared at them until the overlap appeared. There, she said. Sam followed her gaze. A narrow corridor of interaction, small on paper, significant in implication. The continuity advisor, Sam said slowly. If someone wanted emergency relay access embedded under modernization funding, that person would be essential. Yes. And if Adrian is attached to the hearing, he may not be involved, Maya said, but he's proximate. Sam looked at her. You don't believe in proximity without purpose? No. Maya reopened the Virginia maintenance addendum, then cross-referenced it against 2 other sites from Ohio and Maryland. Different contractors, same notation. Failover access confirmed pending external authorization. This time, however, the Maryland file contained a fragment, the others did not. A truncated scheduling code attached to a future test window. Maya's fingers moved quickly. Sam watched the screen. What are you doing? Trying to rebuild the missing tag. Can you? Maybe. She entered 3 likely variants, then a 4th. Nothing. A 5th. Still nothing. On the 6th attempt, the system opened a hidden routing table for less than half a second before closing again, but half a second was enough. Maya had seen the header. So had Sam. Did that say regional command staging? Yes. Sam dropped into the chair opposite her. Maya. I know. No, I don't think you do. Maya looked up. Sam's face had gone paler, not from fear exactly, but from the recognition of scale. This isn't just about controlling information flow, Sam said. It's about controlling who can activate parts of the system during a declared emergency. Maya's silence confirmed it. And if those sites are already in place, they may be able to reroute, delay, or gate certain command pathways. Sam ran a hand across her forehead. That should require formal federal authorization. It should. Meaning if it doesn't have it, then someone built a shadow layer. The words settled into the room with ugly precision. A shadow layer, not a replacement for the official system, something more sophisticated than that. A hidden control path nested inside legitimate infrastructure, available only under certain circumstances, invisible until needed. Sam stood up again and began pacing. Who builds a hidden emergency access structure unless they believe the official one will fail? Or unless they intend to decide when it fails, Maya said. Sam stopped moving. Neither possibility improved the other. The secure door opened without warning. Mercer entered, face drawn tighter than before. "I was told you returned," he said. "What did you find?" Maya did not answer immediately. Instead, she watched him long enough to let him feel the weight of the question he had walked into. Finally, she turned the laptop so he could see the reconstructed table. Mercer's expression changed instantly, not surprise, recognition. Sam saw it too. "You've seen this before," she said. Mercer looked up too slowly. "Only fragments." "That wasn't surprise," Sam said. "That was confirmation." Mercer's jaw tightened. Maya's voice remained even. "How much did you know before you contacted me?" He said nothing. Maya stood. The room seemed smaller now. "Mr. Mercer, if you brought us in to validate something you already suspected while withholding operational context, this conversation is about to become much less courteous." Mercer looked from Maya to Sam and back again. "I knew there was unauthorized architecture embedded in modernization channels." Sam crossed her arms. "That is not a fragment." "No," he said, "it isn't." "Then what didn't you know?" Maya asked. Mercer looked at the screen again. "I didn't know whether it was incomplete. I didn't know whether it had activation capability. And I didn't know who outside a very small circle had visibility." Maya studied him. That at least sounded possible. Still incomplete, still controlled, but possible. "You said a systems analyst found this by accident," Maya said. "He did." "Was he the first?" Mercer hesitated. "Yes." Maya knew he was lying before he finished the word. Sam knew it too. "Who was before him?" Sam asked. Mercer stayed silent. Maya's voice lost the last of its softness. "Who?" Mercer looked at her for a long moment, then said, "A consultant flagged inconsistencies almost a year ago." Maya felt the room shift. "Name?" Mercer did not answer, but again he didn't need to. There are moments in investigative work when the mind arrives before the facts do. Maya turned slowly toward the whiteboard. Outside consultant access, Adrian Vale, pattern recognition, warning at the gala. Not involved, perhaps, but not blind. "Adrian found it," Maya said. Mercer's silence confirmed it. Sam let out a breath somewhere between disbelief and irritation. "And instead of resolving it, everyone just buried it?" Mercer's reply came quieter than before. "Not everyone." Maya looked back at him. "Who buried it?" Mercer's face closed again. "I don't have proof." "No," Maya said. "You have names." A long pause. Then Mercer spoke carefully, as though each word had to survive its own internal review. There are indications that portions of this network were justified through contingency modernization requests supported by members of an interagency resilience task group. Some of those requests were accelerated after private consultations with external security advisors. Sam's mouth tightened. That is an exceptionally polished way of describing collusion. Mercer didn't argue. Maya stepped closer to the table. Why come to me now? This time Mercer answered immediately. Because something changed. What? He pointed to the Maryland test notation. That schedule wasn't there 2 days ago. The room went still. Maya looked back at the screen. Future test window, regional command staging, external authorization pending. Not a passive system, not archival, not theoretical, live. When? She asked. Mercer swallowed once. 48 hours. Sam stared at him. You're telling us they plan to test a hidden emergency control layer in 48 hours? I'm telling you, I believe an activation sequence is scheduled. Maya's mind was already moving through implications, probabilities, access points, countermeasures, and failure risks. Test windows weren't harmless. Tests revealed capability. Capability revealed intention. And intention, if left undisturbed, often proceeded to use. Do they know you know? She asked. Mercer answered too fast. No. Maya didn't like that answer at all. Too clean. Too quick, too hopeful. Her phone vibrated once against the table. A private encrypted message, unknown sender. Maya opened it. One line. If you stay inside Mercer's timeline, you'll be too late. Start with Phoenix. No signature, no code key, nothing. Sam saw the message and went still. Phoenix, she said. Arizona. One of the red sites. Maya's gaze moved from the screen to the board, then to Mercer. He had gone visibly tighter around the eyes. He recognized the word, not as a surprise, as a threat. Interesting, very interesting. Why did he react to Phoenix? Sam asked softly. Maya didn't take her eyes off Mercer. Because he knows it matters. Mercer lifted both hands slightly, not in surrender but in containment. I don't know who sent that. I didn't ask if you knew who sent it, Maya said. I asked why Phoenix matters. Mercer said nothing. Silence pressed harder now. Finally he spoke. Phoenix was one of the earliest pilot sites. Sam closed her eyes briefly. Of course it was. Maya's voice remained flat. For what? Mercer looked at the screen, then at Maya again. When the project began, it was framed as a survivability layer, something that would preserve command routing if multiple regions lost ordinary communications capacity. That's the official explanation, Maya said, not the real one. Mercer held her gaze. The real one, he said carefully, is that whoever expanded it wanted the ability to decide which failures counted and which recoveries happened. Sam's stare hardened. In other words, control. Mercer did not answer. He didn't need to. Maya looked at the map. Arizona, the pilot site. If Phoenix had been first, then Phoenix might also hold the oldest documentation, the least polished concealment, the earliest signatures. Original systems always told the truth first. Everything after that was camouflage. She shut the laptop. Mercer frowned. What are you doing? Changing the timeline. He straightened. You can't move on Phoenix without authorization. Maya picked up her satchel. Watch me. Sam was already gathering her things. Mercer stepped forward. If you do this wrong, you will trigger exactly the people you're trying to expose. Maya stopped just long enough to look directly at him. If I do nothing, they triggered themselves in 48 hours. Mercer had no answer for that. As Maya moved toward the door, Sam beside her, Mercer said, "Miss Cross." Maya paused. "There are people tied to this who will protect it." She turned back halfway. "That is usually the case." Then she and Sam left him standing in the cold fluorescent light of the secure office, the board behind him covered in fragments of a system waiting in the dark. The elevator doors opened to the underground garage. Their footsteps echoed in the half-empty concrete space as they walked toward the black sedan waiting near the far wall. Sam exhaled hard. "So, Phoenix." "Yes." "You think Adrian sent the message?" "I don't know." "You think Mercer is compromised?" "I think Mercer is contained." Sam glanced at her. "That is not the same thing." "No, it's worse." They reached the car. Before getting in, Maya stopped and looked back toward the ramp leading up to the street. Washington above them was quiet now, polished, sleeping perhaps, or pretending to. But somewhere inside its systems, someone had built a hidden hand, and in 48 hours that hand might move. Sam opened the car door, then looked at Maya. "Tell me one thing honestly." Maya turned. "Do you think this is just about emergency control?" Maya's eyes lifted slightly, not to the garage, not to the city, but to the shape of the pattern still moving through her mind. "No," she said. "What do you think it's really about?" Maya got into the car, then answered before shutting the door. "I think someone is preparing for a crisis they expect to use." The door closed. The sedan pulled into motion. And far across the country, in Phoenix, Arizona, a hidden system waited for morning.